Mr. Carpenter, please read the tribute for our good friend, Senator Crowder.
The Colorado Senate, convened in the second regular session of the 72nd General Assembly, hereby extends heartiest congratulations and commendations to Senator Larry W. Crowder. Senator Crowder was elected to serve in the 69th, 70th, 71st, and 72nd General Assemblies, where he represented his fellow citizens with honor and dignity. During his tenure with the Senate, he served with distinction as the Vice Chair of the Senate Health and Human Services Committee and as a member of the Senate Local Government and State Veterans and Military Affairs Committees. Senator Crowder has also served on the Study Committee on Communication between HCPF and Medicaid clients, the County Courthouse and County Jail Funding and Overcrowding Solutions Committee, and the Young and Beginning Farmers Study Committee. The citizens of Colorado and the members of the Senate express gratitude for Senator Crowder's exemplary service to our great state, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. Given this 12th day of June 2020, State Capital, Denver, Colorado. Signed, Leroy M. Garcia, President of the Senate.
Is there any discussion? Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Madam President. To the senator from Aurora, I am not Senator Crowder.
Oh, that one.
But I am speaking in support of honoring a true, good man. You know, I didn't know Larry before I came to the Senate, and frankly, it feels like I've wasted 50 years of my life because I didn't. What a true and honest individual. He's not shy about giving him his opinion. And, you know, I think what I truly admire about him is I think he has one of the things that I truly believe in. And, you know, folks, only the dead fish go with the flow. And, you know, I've been in situations where Larry was the only yes vote or no vote on our side of the aisle. And I truly appreciate that. I will miss him. Frankly, I feel sorry for the individual who is going to come in and try to replace him. Because he has a huge district. 4 senators represent 78% of the landmass of Colorado. You had a couple of more in the senator from Vail. You know, you're cracking the 85–90% of the landmass of Colorado. But I don't know how Larry's wife keeps track of where he is. I mean, she's got to have a GPS on him because he's from one end of his district to the other. I'm sure she doesn't cook dinner till she sees the whites of his eyes. Because he's always in his district, and frankly, I really honor and respect the way you represent the people of Southwest Colorado, or Southeast Colorado. That's me, Southwest. See, I got confused myself of who I am. Thank you. But Larry, you will be missed. We will be friends, I believe, forever. And it was very meaningful to me when you drove to Cortez for the funeral of a cousin of mine that was killed in Iraq. And I'm so honored to call you friend. Thank you, Senator Quorum. It's great to be here.
Lundin, followed by Senator Donovan. Senator Lundin.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. But for people like, and specifically Senator Larry Crowder, the General Assembly frequently can be very much like what Shakespeare called out as a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury and signifying nothing. Senator Crowder has this incredible, innate, grounded, solid, steady ability to reduce all of the noise and confusion that is full of sound and fury. Senator Crowder can reduce it down to its basic, minimum, critical, fundamental elements. And I've learned much by watching him do it time after time after time with regard to many of the propositions that are brought before us. And I've seen it also in the bill selections that he brings. There are a lot of lobbyists, departments. There are so many ideas out there from so many people outside the building. And Senator Crowder has an innate ability to look at what's going on in Colorado and say, you know what? That's not right. And bring a concept, an idea. We had a bill earlier this session about the price, the taxes collected on an automobile. And there's this incredibly complicated formula that you may win, you may lose. He brought a bill that simply said, you know what? You just ought to pay based on what you actually pay for the car or the truck or whatever vehicle you're buying. That is probably the primary thing I have learned from Senator Crowder, and I'm grateful for that because there is so much sound and fury, and I clearly, you all know, contribute greatly to that at times. But I am grateful for the fact that Senator Crowder helps us all find our better selves and helps us all hopefully look for the irreducible minimum, the critical element that we should be pursuing. Senator Crowder, it's an honor to serve with you, and I've been grateful for what I've been able to learn at your knee.
Senator Donovan. Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. There is no way that we can honor you without bringing up a couple physical notes to the podium. I think your legacy might live on when in the years to come, we can continue to refer to these as physical notes. And we know that those that giggle when we say that will have had the pleasure of serving with you. It will become an inside joke that not only celebrates you, but also reminds us of who you were in this building. You are an incredibly sincere servant. And at times that sincerity comes off in some of what I think people may often dismiss as naive or innocent questions. But if people listen closely enough to you, you open aspects of bill and policy that other people just glazed over as you seek to find the intent for a true reason to support or oppose. I also have always appreciated you as a lawmaker because I think you take seriously committee work. I think many of us walk into committees with votes determined, ideas formulated, opinions made. And I think you walk in on many occasions seeking the answer, seeking the right vote, seeking the pathway. That's a harder thing to do than to have your decision made before you walk in there. And I appreciate that about you. I also really appreciate your steadfast commitment to veterans. Again, you often have to listen really closely to Senator Crowder to understand his true commitment and impact. When you come up to the mic, particularly on veterans issues or perhaps a moment of personal privilege on the few times you take them, you will say something very subtle that reveals the true depth of your character and commitment to our veterans. It might be something as, well, I was at this young man's service, or I was visiting with this young woman's parents, or I was chatting with this veteran's concerns about his need to get benefits. You don't brag about what you do for veterans, you just do it. And you do it consistently and honorably, and you've done it for years and years without celebration or an ask for thanks. And of course you do, because you're a vet yourself, and you're committed to your country in so many ways. You are a steady and clear human, and I don't know what much more can be asked for a senator than that. Thank you for your service.
Senator Rankin.
Thank you, Madam President. I first met Senator Crowder about 10 years ago. I was actually running for an office in a race that I lost down in Alamosa, and I was told, you got to go meet this guy. He's a mover and shaker in Alamosa County. So I went over to the Home Lake Center, and Larry was serving as a veterans VSO, Veteran Service Officer, and he really helped me. I mean, I had never really run for office and was struggling to meet people and figure out what it was all about. And I've never really forgotten that, or the origin of that commitment to veterans. There aren't many true Vietnam veterans. I'm a Vietnam era veteran, but not a Vietnam veteran. So I watched my fellow soldiers go off to war and back, and I have never lost that respect for folks who really were in country and did the job. So thank you, Larry, for your service. And I'll echo what previous speakers said. You're always the first to the podium when it has to do with veterans, to support our vets, whether it's Military Day or whatever, and I've always really respected that. I wanted to reflect on one other thing, and you know, we share this rural representation, and I respect, you know, having to spend time in the car when the phone half the time doesn't connect and you're trying to get work done. So thank you for representing a rural area and always being there for rural. But I especially want to thank you for the last couple of months. So we're in cutting $3.3 billion. It's agonizing, and every once in a while, we kind of get wrapped around the axle, you know, talking about a $10,000 cut when, you know, the problem is so overwhelming. And there's the big screen, WebEx up there, and, you know, LC, and Larry would come in at just the right time and ask just the right question to pull us back and make us talk about the real issue. And I think everybody on the JBC came to respect that every once in a while we were going to get an interesting question that made us stop and think and maybe back up a little bit when things were getting tough. So Larry, thank you so much for paying attention, sticking with us, really caring about that difficult job of cutting the budget and being with us. So thank you for that.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, Larry. Thank you for being you. In a few words, every time I think of you, I think of the word warm. You are the warmest, most gracious gentleman that I have ever met. You are an absolute doll. It's not, you know, just your passion and drive for the military, but for the unborn. The work that you have done and the passion you have for an unborn baby, and how I have seen you stand at the mic and talk about saving those children. Your wife, your caring demeanor around her, how you treat other people here. You've always been a gentleman. I've served with you for 8 years now. We came in together, and I had no idea who Larry Crowder was, but I will never forget who Larry Crowder is. And for me, you have been a blessing to my life. Hopefully, I will carry on some of the good lessons and examples that you have shown me in caring. I love the way every now and then we would be down here at the mic, and I'm pretty sure it was you. This was one thing that was out of character, but it was hilarious. Lois Court was at the mic. I can't even remember what we were debating, but you yelled out 2 words. One of them started with a B, and the other one started with an S. Yeah, it was, whoa. You got your point across, and in only a way that Larry can. But the rubber band fights that we had in here, and you were dodging them all the time, and oh gosh, on the last day of session, you just quietly kind of exit. I don't think I ever got you with one, but I was aiming for you. And you have been every day a stable and very consistent human being, which isn't something everybody can say about themselves or everybody who's in here. Everybody gets a little bit off every now and then, but you are an even keel and someone I do so appreciate, Larry. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate serving with you. I appreciate your fight for life and the unborn and for our veterans and all those who are so lucky to have your caring spirit and focus. Thank you, Larry. And I will never forget what you've taught me.
Senator Fields.
Senator Crowder. I've known Senator Crowder for some time now because we have run bills together when I was in the House. And the first bill I ran with him was a bill that had to do with changing the requirements for licensed nurse practitioners. And that was a bill that took a lot of effort on our behalf because we had to negotiate with a lot of different allies and partners to make sure that we got the bill right. Basically, the policy that we had in the state of Colorado was kind of an unfair practice. The practice was that they had to have more hours to get their certification. And we were able to pass legislation to reduce the number of hours for their certification so that they would have prescriptive authority. And then we came back the following year and we played with a little bit more so that we could make sure that we increase the pipeline as it relates to licensed nurse practitioners. One question that I never asked of Senator Crowder was, how did he have this passion and interest in healthcare? I just knew that he always had an interest in that, and I never understood, we never talked about why that was a key area of focus for you. We served together on the Health and Human Service Committee right here in the Senate, and what I appreciate about Senator Crowder is he is always asking thoughtful questions that deal with his community as it relates in the rural area. So he always made sure that that was a focus because we had other people on the committee that would focus on the urban complex corridor. But he wanted to always make sure that we had a balanced approach in our healthcare policy as it relates to making sure that we weren't leaving our rural hospitals, our rural healthcare clinics in a disadvantage. And I appreciate that because we need to make sure that we have a lens that creates parity and equity across our state. I've had an opportunity to tour some of our hospitals on the rural side, and they are at a disadvantage. In some locations, it might take you 3 or 4 hours just to get to a hospital. And when I think about what's going on in our city, here we can get to a hospital within 15, 20 minutes. It's not that case in rural Colorado. So I really appreciate that perspective that you bring to the committee. What I know about Senator Crowder is that he really cares about people. He has a very natural, down-to-earth style where he's really able to communicate in a very simple way that demonstrates a high level of concern as it relates to healthcare and other issues. And I do appreciate that about you. I'm going to miss you because I think it's important that we continue to have the voice that you bring to committee as it relates to healthcare and rural Colorado, because we do have a gap that needs to be closed. So thank you for your service.
Senator Smallwood, followed by Senator Moreno, followed by Senator Tate.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator Crowder, it's been fun. I can't imagine how it's been 4 years already. Like a blink of an eye. Senator Crowder and I have served for 4 years together on the Health and Human Services Committee. I've got to see him really exactly as you've described him, paying attention in every committee meeting. First of all, attending every committee meeting, paying attention in those committee meetings, asking the right questions, and proving what he cares about. And what I will say about Senator Crowder, and something that I think we can all aspire to, colleagues, is I don't know of another person, and again, I've seen a lot of votes from this gentleman, who doesn't matter where the party is, doesn't matter where the caucus is, doesn't matter where the leader is. And I will tell you, frustratingly, doesn't matter where the chair is. Senator Crowder is going to vote his district, period. And it's maddening as a chair, sometimes. But it's something we can all come away with, something that we can all aspire to, is to say, you know what? Am I going to be bold enough to say, I don't care about anybody except the people that put me here? And that's what I've seen from Senator Crowder, vote after vote, in committee, on seconds, on thirds, every time. Sir, you are consistent. Your constituents should be as sad as I am to no longer work with you. I have huge regrets that we didn't spend more time together. A handful of times that it was just you and I being able to talk. The guy's hilarious, by the way, if you haven't been able to actually spend one-on-one time with him. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you've done for Southeast Colorado and for your constituents. Know that you'll be missed. Please come back and visit, and make sure you come to the Health and Human Services Committee first. Thank you, sir.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Madam President, and to Senator Crowder. Senator Crowder was with us every single Joint Budget Committee meeting from start to finish, and candidly, he didn't have to do that. A term-limited legislator on his way out, I wouldn't expect that of a person that was about to be complete with their service. But he was there, so much that we refer to him as the 7th member of the Joint Budget Committee. And we so appreciated his feedback, his thoughts, his ability to recenter the conversation, as Senator Rankin said. Senator Smallwood took the words right out of my mouth, because what I'll remember most about Senator Crowder is his commitment to his district, to the people that elected him. I have roots in the San Luis Valley, and Senator Crowder represents the San Luis Valley. And what I'll remember is that he is the only Republican who voted for Medicaid expansion, because he knew it mattered to his people. It mattered to those people in the San Luis Valley so that they could get health care. Very grateful to you for always representing your district. And I'm sure they're as sad as we all are to be losing you. Congratulations, Senator Crowder.
Senator Tate, followed by Senator Rodriguez and President Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator Crowder, it's been a pleasure being here with you for 5 years. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if I actually ever ran a bill with you now I think about it. I never even served on a committee with you either. So I don't have any old war stories like Senator Lambert, where I could go on for 30 minutes and talk about the intricacies of some spending bill or something or whatnot. But I just know you from here, and I think the senator from the Tennessee Pass area mentioned that you are a gentleman, and that's thoroughly been my impression. You, when I think about in my mind what I imagine someone in a small town in southeastern Colorado would be, it would be you, sir. You've always been so kind, and what I'm particularly grateful for is how much of your trust you gave me. And I really appreciate that. I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful for the time I spent with you. Thank you, Senator Crowder.
Senator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator Crowder, what can I say? I've only been here, I'm ending my second year of the First Assembly, and as I got to know you as being one of our little break buddies, I appreciate the conversations we've had, whether it's running back late and then waiting for us to start back session. I've always, listening to you, one of the first things I noticed when my mentor, Senator Donovan, got her Civil Air Patrol card and I came over and wanted to get one, you made sure I did. So I really appreciate that. And knowing you're a veteran, and my father being a Vietnam era veteran, and your loyalty to veterans has been inspiring to me, is because it's something I see with my father, and the camaraderie which has guided me. And some of the discussions you had with me, telling me sometimes you got to buck your party to do what's right. I've always known that your arrow is true and straight, and I appreciate that about you, and just wanted to say thank you, and it's been an honor to serve with you. I think it was a day or two ago you were talking to me, and we were talking about the greatest generation, and what we're seeing now is a generation behind you. But you telling me is like, I don't believe we're the greatest generation, Robert. I believe the greatest generation is yet to come. And that was really something that touched me very closely. So I just want to say thank you for your service.
President Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, Senator Crowder, you're going to be missed, my friend, but I'll get the great opportunity to see you down in Pueblo. You know, I've had the opportunity to serve with the good senator from Alamosa in some capacity for about the last 8 years, starting off when I first came to the House, and could tell you that enjoyed going to Israel with him at one point. Enjoyed working on a number of important issues that have shaped this state, including repurposing Fort Lyon in your district at a time when it was an uphill battle. Almost every couple of weeks we'd have a greater chamber breakfast down in Pueblo where we talk about legislative policies. And the one thing I always respect about the good senator is who is so respectful of our differences in political opinions and viewpoints, and never use that forum to do anything other than talk about the policy and talk about what we were doing together and how we were working for Southern Colorado here at the Capitol. But I have to share with you one story that I always think about with Senator Crowder. When I first came to the House, him being a veteran, and I was in the House, and he was, of course, here in the Senate, we worked to be co-chairs of the Veterans Committee. And at that time, you know, the Democrats, they had, the vote margin was 17-18, so quite the difference. I remember one afternoon we were in Veterans Caucus lunch, and I was chairing it. We had a guest panel, and he showed up, and he was there for several minutes. He was enjoying lunch. We were listening to the veteran speakers, and these sergeants frantically come in and whisper in his ear, and he stands up, "Oh, the cow!" And he came running back. And I later found out that, of course, they had kept the Senate waiting for about 20 minutes because they thought he was out smoking, or they thought he was in the restroom, or they thought he was in the balcony, and they were looking everywhere for him. They couldn't get this done, but he was in Veterans Committee listening to them give a presentation. Of course, I always remember that story. He right away came back to the Senate, cast his vote, and then was right back down in Veterans Committee. So loved working with you, Senator Crowder, and you'll be missed here in the Senate, but I know I'll see you back down in Southern Colorado.
I remember that day, waiting and waiting. Senator Priola.
Thank you, Madam President. And Senator Crowder, I will sincerely miss you. I've really appreciated your breath of fresh air, and I'll have to say, whenever I'd go to Health Committee, you were always that wild card that I would fear, because I knew all the questions I had prepared for and the areas of the bill that I thought would be most pertinent and everyone would focus on. Didn't always apply to the question that you would come out of the left or right side and catch me and make me kind of fumble for an answer and figure out the minor intricacies of the legislation. So I kind of feel like we're kindred spirits a bit. I've felt like the district you represent, although it's large and rural, I think a lot of the attitude and the blue collar background, the agricultural background, is very similar to like how Adams County was and still is, even though it's starting to become more of a suburban county. So, and I will never forget, and I don't take any insult to this, but it's one of the memories I will always cherish, is when you came down and called me out on that bill last year that simply increased the per diem for county commissioners. And I know we'll disagree about it, but I will always remember that day with a smile on my face. So thank you so much for your service, and I hope to see you soon in many trails and come back and see us next year.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. On opening day, I noted about Senator Crowder, thank you for caring about the young, the old, veterans, rural Colorado, and everyone. It's really Larry. He has such an amazing heart. Well, others have spoken about this. My first interaction with Senator Crowder, I knew of him, when I was in the House. And I came over to the Senate, blessed to be in the majority, starting in 2015. Then President Cadman assigned office spaces, and Senator Crowder and I were among those who were officed in the Sherman Street office. If you've been in my office before, you know I have my own desk. I kind of like it, it suits me, but it's kind of big, it's got a credenza, and it's kind of U-shaped thing. President Cadman let me know my office assignment, and I went and looked at it, my desk didn't fit in the office. No matter which way I would turn it, it didn't fit. I went back to President Cadman and asked, would it be okay if I asked other members if I could trade? And he's like, yeah, but I don't think you're going to get anybody to trade because you got the smallest office. Okay. Well, the heart of Senator Crowder, I went to him and explained, my desk doesn't fit. Would you be willing to trade? He said, yeah, sure, no problem. Not an issue. And I think around this building, we often compete for, the best office. It's big, it's got the right view, it's close to the chamber, whatever it might be. We're stuck across the street, and I'm sure some of you here are stuck across the street right now. But Senator Crowder, he didn't even think twice. He's like, yeah, sure, if that helps you, if your desk fits there, I'd be happy to. I got to know Larry, Senator Crowder, serving with him here in the chamber. And then 2016 came along. And I like to be active in campaigns. I like data. I like paying attention about who's up and where they live and what the district is like. I remember President Cadman and probably Majority Leader Scheffel talking about the Crowder District and how he had worked for the Veterans Administration and traveled all over that district and talked to veterans. And the people all over that district, they knew Larry Crowder. Didn't matter where they were on the political spectrum, they knew Larry Crowder, and he'd helped them over and over and over again for years. And I heard that. Now, that same time, I was a liaison to the Colorado Commission on Higher Ed, CCHE, and they hosted an event at Adams State University in Alamosa. And that summer, late summer, I drove down there for a multi-day event. And as I get in towards Alamosa, I start seeing the 4x8s, Larry Crowder, everywhere. Alamosa and the San Luis Valley, they love Larry Crowder. Larry Crowder has an amazing heart for people, everyone. He served this country, he served veterans in this state, and then he came and he represented the people of his district here in the state Senate for 8 years. Senator Crowder, I've learned, I think as the senator from Vail noted, sometimes you come down and I wonder what Larry's going to ask about or talk about. And he'll come up with this profound question about a bill that had never even occurred to me. Sometimes I think, oh man, he must be looking at a different bill. And I look and think, wow, he sees something I never even thought of. Senator Crowder, you are another example of how the residents, the voters, the citizens of a particular district probably ought to waive term limits because you represent your particular district perfectly. You are that district, and the people of that district know it. And I'm honored to have served with you. Thank you for giving so much of your heart, your soul, your mind, and your character to this institution and the people of Colorado. God bless you, sir. Thank you.
Senator Crowder, come to the well.
Sir, appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm humbled, and I'm so impressed. I wish I knew that guy. I think the trick to this job is attitude. I think, I come in here with a good attitude, and I'm leaving with a good attitude. And I think that's what we have to continuously guard against. How to lose that? Don't never lose your attitude. Always love people. I respect people. I've always liked people too. I learn something new every day. Today I learned Senator Holbert plays the guitar fairly well. I didn't know that until today. I was impressed. And it's those little things in people that you need to continuously look for. I've often, with the Senate President, I'll say, hey, Leroy, and he'll call me Senator Crowder. I said, Leroy, we've known each other a long time, but can't we be on a first name basis? I said, no, we can't do that. you know, this is an interesting world we live in. The reality is I have been, you know, I will tell you that I've had people in my party ask me continuously, well, why do you vote with the Democrats a lot? I says, I've never voted with the Democrats. The Democrats always vote with me. You look at the bill and what that can do for the people in which you serve. It matters not whose name is on the bill. It matters not who gets the credit for that bill. Senator Quorum and I was at a meeting over here in the Supreme Court Justice with the Critton bunch at the school, the ladies that have the babies that go to school. And we were over there, and Senator Quorum and myself have both run legislation over the past years. And we were there in this meeting, and there was quite a number of them there. And the moderator was talking about how we both had run bills and we had done this for the school and whatnot. So there was an applause, and they were real appreciative of what we'd done. So I stopped them. I said, please don't applaud. You know, you call me hero, I call you hero. You are the heroes here. Look at what you have done. We are but nothing but the instruments in which got this through. So please do not show us accolades. Show yourself the accolades for what you're doing, what you're trying to do. And I think this is something we need to continuously do. You know, it's difficult to accept praise for what we do, because what we do is we try and find solution to somebody else's problems. That's the reality of what we do. And in finding those problems, we really need to continuously make sure that we're not creating more problems. It's very simple to come out and say, well, we need to fix this, this, and this. But if it costs all of these people this amount of money to do that, are we gaining? Maybe there's other solutions. You know, I think that the hardest thing on this, the hardest part of this job is our families. You know, it's as it was spoken, I do cover a rather large district, and I am on the road a lot. But my wife and I, we talk on the phone all the time. You know, and that really helps, but it's just not the same as being there. So I think the families, you know, for us to go out, to go forth and do our jobs and do it well, our families do suffer. You know, so it's always imperative that we not only keep our own attitudes up, but we keep our spouses' attitudes up also. Because this, you know, you don't want to damage any type of relationship over this. And you know, it's been an interesting road. One thing I did learn while I was up here, which I did not know before, I was down in the Castle Rock. I'm fifth generation Colorado. I was down in the Castle Rock library actually doing some work on the first generation started in Castle Rock. What I did not know, this is, I believe we're in the 72nd Congress now, the first generation, which would be a distant grandfather, was in the 7th Congressional District in the House of Representatives right here at the Capitol. And I did not know that until after I was elected. So I'm not the first of my kind here. But it's an honorable journey. And I will tell you that I have served with giants over the 8-year period I've been here, but I will never name them, because those that are not named will always strive to become a giant. So I want you to know that you should all be very proud of what you do. You know, and I think it's important to be proud of each other too, because this is a situation where we are definitely in this together. You know, I have a lot of people in my district that I could care less what their political affiliation is. And, you know, I've learned over the years, I've made some good friends in areas that I did not know, that they're Democrats. And I didn't know that, and it didn't matter, it just came up in a casual conversation. But I never ask what people's parties are. All I ask is, what is your problem, and what can we do to help? You know, because that's what it's about. The people that brought us to this place to do a job. You know, I've been asked many times what made me decide to run for Senate. I said, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. The second question I asked myself the day after I was elected, what does a senator do? I don't know if anybody's experienced that or not, but running a campaign, as you're aware, is not like being in office. So once you're done with the campaign, now that you're elected, well, what do we do? There's no answer to that because we all do things differently. But I think I do think it's an honorable experience and an honorable profession. I've learned so much, and every day you learn something. But I want you to know that I do appreciate getting to know all of you. And, we do have differences, but if you always represent your district, because that's all you'll never be in trouble. You'll make mistakes, but if your heart's always in the right place, you'll be okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for the experience.
Thank you.